Please welcome the queen of all media, Miss Wendy Williams. Wendy, how are you doing?
Thanks, Claudia. Where are your co-hosts?
It's just us today. It's just me and you.
Well, let's continue. And when they get here, let's ignore them. Go ahead.
Oh my God.
Go ahead. Go. Stop laughing. Straighten up. Come
No,
on. No, stop. By the way, it's not just a movie, it's a biopic also. It's a documentary also. 2 hours for the documentary, which happens after the biopic. And it's 4 hours of Wendy altogether, beginning 8 o'clock on Saturday on Lifetime.
So
it's really incredible.
I didn't get the screener for the documentary. That I really want to see as well.
Oof.
Was it tough for you to relive a lot of this stuff, or was it liberating?
You know, it's tough to give it to someone good, to tell it the way the truth is, and to not hide what you've given them chance after chance to make better. And that goes for family members. That goes for former bosses who fired me. But you know, I've grown, they've grown, I'm right with the people in my life. You know, I've talked about people that we both know, including your boss there, Jamie Foxx. Jamie and I, as far as I know, we're cool.
Oh, that was my old job. Not anymore though. I'm not. That was the Soul. This is the Fox Soul.
Okay. Well, you know, I must be the only me that I know how to be. And it was not difficult telling the story. It'll be difficult hearing people's reaction to the story because, you know, the ones who watch it closely will learn something maybe about themselves that they never knew, or go through something that they've never been through, but watch me go through it and say, well, I'm not doing that. Or the less enlightened ones will just watch it for pure entertainment and say, well, she was still dumb for not divorcing him the first time she caught him cheating, or she was stupid for even marrying him, or I wouldn't have even dated him. He's ugly. No, he's not ugly. I think Kevin is hot. He's still hot. Kevin smells good. He dresses well, but I've outgrown Kevin. I've outgrown the way he spends money. I've outgrown the way he lives his life. I've outgrown the way he talks to people, you know, and the way he's late for meetings, and the way he puts you on hold and doesn't come back because he forgets that you're on hold. And he does that to some really important people. It's costed me some money, some deals. You know, my Lifetime event has come years after Lifetime has wanted to do a big project with me. But Kevin was my manager. And you know, Claudia, in this business, managers act in your stead when you are not present, and you trust them to do the right thing. And if they have any questions while they're in that meeting, then they are supposed to call us as the talent. Kevin would just say no to a lot of things, walk out of meetings, pound his fist, and I'm talking facts. But I'm forced to be mature enough to be able to co-parent, to not poison my son's mind against his father, to not poison his relationship or lack thereof, or whatever he has, whatever he calls the woman, and whatever he calls her baby with my ex-husband, and however they spend my alimony. That's not my concern. My job is to teach Kevin, my son, how to spend properly. And people think that I am disrespecting Kelvin by calling him Kelvin. That's his government name. He didn't like the name his mother gave him either. And my mother was closer to her son than his own mother. When I first met Kelvin, the first thing I wanted to do is get him back in a correct relationship with his mother. They weren't speaking, they hadn't spoken for years. His brother, his sister, I was his family. My parents were his parents. They were the example that you can still get an education and come from a corny suburban family and still don't be scared of marriage, because that's what I want, Kelvin. And I didn't call him Kelvin privately, I called him Kevin. But now in this life, I use the difference because I want people to understand when I say Kevin, I'm talking about my sonny boy. When I say Kelvin, I'm talking about, you know, a man I once loved.
Is the love gone?
Yes.
All the way? Like, because in the beginning, you threw me off. It seemed like you still had some kind of, and watching the movie.
You know, when the documentary was filmed, you know, things have to be edited and things have to be put on hold for this reason or that reason. There's a lot of logistics that go behind being in a big network like Lifetime. And I'm learning as I'm going along. I have a multi-project deal with them. It's not just this movie and biopic. And going forward, this is the type of thing I would like to retire out of, hosting a talk show. This show is wonderful and I'm not tired of it yet, but I'm not doing this forever. I don't want to be on TV forever. I want to get in the classroom. I want to be a professor of communications at a school so that parents can finally feel that when they spend their hard saved money to send their children to college to major in communications, that if they take Wendy Williams' course in communications, that they're going to get it from an icon and legend. They're going to get it firsthand from me. I can't promise I'll be in the class every day, but who I pick to act in my steed will be smart. I will be looking over your papers and I'll know who's who and what's what. And you'll get a better account of what to do once you grab your diploma than I did. And I graduated from Northeastern University on time, never failed a course. Barely graduated. I hated being in the classroom because the cornball is teaching me, doctor this and professor that. Who are you? You never talked to a celebrity. You never wrote for a big newspaper. You never cracked a microphone. I'm cutting your class. I can't drop it because it's a requirement.
Right.
I must make my parents happy and get out of here and come back to the classroom and dedicate my next chapter in life professionally to giving the kids what they want, some entertainment and real enlightenment in the classroom.
Could you really be done with what you're doing? Because, watching your movie and seeing how this was a dream from early on. A lot of people don't realize their dream that early on, and you did. You were clear about it from an early
when I was a little girl, you saw the opening scene in the movie. I was too fat to fit into my dress and my family was making fun of me. And then they were making fun of me by screaming and yelling and telling me I'm fat. And my father told me I have a pretty face if I would just lose weight. And my sister and my brother were standing there playing the usual role they play. None of those people look like my actual siblings, by the way, but you know how it is with movies. You just want to get more accuracy with the star of the movie than with the other people, because my event is not about the people in that particular movie, in my movie. It's about the story. It is about the story. And I broke the chair at this little girl's birthday party. So what? That's because I won musical chairs.
What was it that?
Musical chairs.
Yeah, musical chairs.
And I sat down hard and the leg broke and the girl started crying, "Mommy, it's my birthday. I'm supposed to win." "No, you're not. It's so what? It's your birthday. I bought you a gift, but I won. Now where's my prize?" And I got a candied apple, and my mother, we got thrown out of the party. The other kids were laughing at me when I was down on the ground when the chair broke. I was like, I'll show them. My mother went from smiling because I won to frowning because we got thrown out. And I took my candy apple. Then my mother took it from me. She said, "I eat too many sweets. I'm getting fat. I can barely fit in my dress." Ugh.
Were they exaggerating? Because like the little girl that played you in your pictures I've seen, I don't see this big obese child. So were they extra?
I wasn't big obese, but I was bigger and I was taller and rounder than the people in my family.
Okay, but not enough to be made to feel like this. It seems like
it was enough to be made fun of when you live in a town where you're only one of 4 Black people to be in your graduating class in 1982. My skin was black enough that the boys in my class, I'd see them looking. They were curious, but there was no interracial dating back then that would be acceptable. And also interfaith dating. I'm Baptist. I grew up in a very heavily Jewish and Catholic, but Jewish. And I mean Jewish, like get on the bus, go to Brooklyn, work, come back home, on the bus. I had a very interesting upbringing, and it definitely shaped me. And if I had it to do over again, I'd want to grow up there. And my son was raised in a town like Ocean Township. He was raised in Livingston, New Jersey. There was more money there in Livingston. And his parents, mom and dad, me, are more successful than my parents were. But I could identify with some of the pains of my son growing up in Livingston, because I didn't grow up in the projects, whereas Kelvin grew up in the projects. And so he was new and shell-shocked to everything as well.
Do you feel, I spoke about this, like some colorism stuff in my family, some of my relatives would say, maybe you'll be cute one day when you finally get some color, and you can say, okay, get over it. That was when you were 10. Do you still feel those insecurities of when you were that little girl? Or have you addressed it with therapy? Are you over it? Or is there still something that can hurt you? Is there still something that hurts you?
No, I still go to therapy every Monday at 2:00. It's a date. And she's wonderful. And, we just talk. We talk about stuff. And I tell her things, and sometimes she gives me the wrong answers. And I'm like, we already talked about this, doctor. You cost a lot of money and my hours are messed up. Can we get right? How about you lay on the couch and I'll do the thing? We have a wonderful relationship, and it's great to talk to somebody. I get more accomplished talking to her than I do talking to my family members or talking to people who I call friends. Because, well, she signed an oath as a doctor, as a therapist, that she's not allowed to spill tea. See?
Right. Unlike the family members.
Well, the family members are allowed to spill tears.
Right.
In that, whoa, why don't you come visit us in Miami for a week? No, I don't have time to take off. What are you, crazy? It's live from New York. It's Wendy Williams. I pay for a lot. I'm paying for my kid to stay in school. He can't count on my father or his father. I'm paying alimony. I'm paying for him to take care of his new daughter. But what do you think he's using my alimony for? I'm paying for his luxurious lifestyle. He still likes Rolls Royces, and the newest MCM bags, either for her or for him, just to keep her quiet.
How much does it suck to have to pay that? Do you begrudgingly write that check every month, or are you over it?
No.
Because, that would be tough. No. Like you, Halle Berry, I'm almost like, oh, I hate that.
Well, that's Hallie's issue. I, for one, have moved on, and I've moved on very quickly. I enjoy being a single woman, and I don't write the check, Claudia. I have my overpriced divorce attorney, but very effective, wire the check on time every month, like clockwork. Bink. But I do have his number in my phone. It's listed as Kelvin, so I know when a phone rings, whether it's Kevin, my son, or Kelvin. I answer sometimes. I don't answer other times. We text back and forth. I can sense his anger sometimes and the frustration and his sorrow. He's very sorry, and I believe him that he's done this to me. He's very sorry that he was a serial cheat. I know he's very sorry that he got caught. He's very sorry that a lot of his guy friends helped me catch him. He's very sorry that he can't figure out which guy friends they are, because I will not. I told them as I fed them weed and drink, here, have another one. Let me squeeze my boobs together a little harder. You can hypnotize them. You know what I'm saying, Claudia? Because they think they got next. When in actuality, I don't want you.
How is it? I had an ex do that where his best friend was supposed to help get me back, and instead he told me everything. And that's just like,
Claudia, I don't want any of these guys, but these guys can't help but love me today. And you know why? Because I still haven't told Kelvin who they are. And when my mom, she became my best friend, and I told my mom, I can't think of anything that I haven't shared with my mom. And I am very at peace with her being at peace. She lived 86 wonderful years. She went from being my critical mother to being my girl, my confidant. I could talk to my mother better than I could talk to my big sister. And what do you have a big sister for if you can't, talk to her? But my big sister is really conservative, whereas my mother would paint her nails green herself. Because why go and pay for that? Every $5 counts. I'm like, Mom, I know I'm painting mine show pink. I call this show pink because I can wear the same color every day. And I'm a busy woman. I don't have time to go to some salon to have people asking me how you doing, or maybe somebody run up in the salon with a gun trying to rob everybody. That happens all the time, Claudia.
Oh my God, Wendy, I want to hear all about your life and everything else you have going on. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the queen of all media, Wendy Williams, when we return. We are back with Out Loud with your girl, Claudia Jordan. We are talking to Wendy Williams. Make sure you check out Wendy Williams, the movie that comes out January 30th today on Lifetime. Now let's get back to the conversation.
Listen, I have to ask you something. Okay. What's the deal going on with my lovely girl, DeBrat, and Lisa Ray? I saw you on Cocktails with Queens online, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to talk to Claudia alone.
So whenever it's someone's birthday, we got to surprise them. We try to roll out the red carpet for them. Anybody in their life that's special that we can get a hold of. So we reach out to the brat thinking like, this is her sister. We had no idea that there was any issues. So we were all surprised live on air when it went left that they hadn't spoken in a while. And I don't think they've spoken since still. So I think there's still some communication needs to happen.
What do you think they're arguing about? that Lisa Ray, they're waiting for, I think she's a project coming out soon. I like Lisa Ray, but she's got a way with men, and there's something sneaky and conniving about her that I like.
Really?
She hypnotizes you with her beauty, and Diamond is a legendary character, and she does have that she's involved with that fandom thing that people are involved in.
He was to do OnlyFans.
Yeah, why not? Norman is
not doing it.
Her page, and she has never posted a picture, and he wanted his money back, and he complains live on the air. I still want my $25. What are you doing with my money?
I think she joined before knowing what it was really about. So then she pulled back and decided not to go forward with it because she hasn't posted anything on there.
I don't believe that. When she gets on there, she's going to need her Players Club people who know her as Diamond, people who know her as Lisa Ray from the Lisa Ray that we know, to watch her present project, because nobody's getting younger. We all might be beautiful. You, me, Lisa Ray, Halle Berry, we all might be beautiful, but beauty fades and stupid is forever, and money doesn't last. And if we take care of ourselves, we're going to live to be 100 years old, and we've got to have money to pay for our lifestyles, because I'm not going to be eating cat food when I'm 95 years old. And I refuse to sell the apartment that I live in now.
We went to visit her this weekend. She's doing a movie with Carrie Hilson and some other movies. But you know what? You might need to come back on Cocktails one day so we can all have a talk together. How about that?
Or maybe we just need a good old behind the scenes.
Maybe we can come to New York and do that. COVID free. Okay, Wendy, let's talk about your movie. The date rape scene in your film.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to put that in the movie? And have you dealt with that in therapy? Do you feel?
No. I don't mean to roll my eyes at therapy, because I just told you I go to therapy once a week, 2:00, a woman, and just so happens that she's able to stop asking me questions like, what's your relationship like with your mother? The average therapist questions. She's good at getting to the core of me. I was raped by an R&B singer named Sherrick. And it happened when I was a naive girl making $9,000 a year working for Kathy Hughes in Washington, D.C. at WOL. It's located in the hood at 4th and H. There was a big window and a traffic light. People would stop at the traffic light and wave at the pretty girl playing the music. They would change the station to WOL. They would see me waving and they would be listening. It wasn't a big station, but if you use that window right, it'd become a big deal until the light turned green. See? I was a younger girl. There was an oldies blues station, and Miss Hughes did mornings, I did afternoons, and Sherrick had the #1 song on the R&B charts. And in between playing the blues music that I couldn't relate to, didn't know, and would sit there like, until it went off, they would let me play Salt and Pepper, Jody Watley, Shalimar, and Sherrick, this new guy who looked, he had the look of the time, which was looking like one of the DeBarges. He had the hair. He was 6'5". He was muscular, but not too muscular. He was built like a swimmer. And he came to town to celebrate his single, Call Me, going #1 on the R&B charts. That was a very big deal. And he sang beautifully. He had a sexy voice, and he looked beautiful. And he was #1. And the listening party was that night. He came to my show to interview, and he hypnotized, I was young, I was naive, I was still growing into my own, and he hypnotized me by coming on to me in a very sophisticated way.
He was in the movie, you said you thought he was going to be your boyfriend.
Yeah. My DC, I'd be his DC girlfriend, because I knew that I wasn't going to stop radio to follow him all around. And I knew that a man this beautiful with this talent and all the attention of all these real women, because really I was just a girl who wanted to be on the radio, and I wanted to be a star in New York. And even though I was in DC, I could see that he was country and a little slow, and definitely wouldn't be able to keep up with me once I became a star in New York. I had fantasies, and it wasn't him. But for that day, I lost track of the deep questions to ask him on the radio, and he flipped the interview and asked me, well, how old are you? And I'm old enough. And I'm playing with my hair and, dying inside because I want to faint. And he asked me to be his date for his album celebration party that night in DC. And this is something that that a girl doing afternoons on, you know, WOL in Washington, D.C. doesn't get asked. And I said yes. And I left my car in the parking lot and I got in his limo with him. And he stared at me. I stared at him. I had a deep cocaine problem at that particular point. I had a very sophisticated drug dealer. Cocaine at that time was only $35 a gram. I was buying it by the 8 ball. My dealer really liked me. He'd give me discounts all the time, not because I didn't have any money, but because he liked me. And it didn't seem dirty. His clientele were sophisticated people who wore suits, and they were all different ages, but sophisticated and educated, and in all different colors. And I would sit in his house because that was his full-time job. And he lived in a house. You would never suspect. I wasn't nervous. I'd sit there, there'd be a platter, you know, smoke this, sniff that. And Sherrick, turns out we had that in common. We continue to go in the limo to his hotel. He got in the shower to freshen up. Why wouldn't he want to change his clothes? You know, he's a number one in R&B. He changed his clothes. I never went to work without makeup already on my face and my eyelashes curled and, you know, looking the part just in case he walked in the door. And he did. He did. And so I looked fine. And I did not look like a slut. And I did not have big boobs, and I did not have the confidence to even flow like a slut.
What happened to him, Wendy?
But he overpowered me when he got out of the shower. He had on his towel, and I thought he was coming towards me to sit down to, you know, moisturize his ankles or something like that. And I was like, you know, what are you doing? What are you doing? And you'll see how it unfolds in the movie. He overpowered me. He was bigger than me. I was not going to scream because while he was Sherrick, number one on the R&B charts, I was Wendy with a future, and I didn't want to have this to be part of my story. I wanted to be able to tell my story, and it's sad, but this is how I operate. I said, ooh, this is going to be a good one to tell the public one day. This is going to make me really interesting when I become a star. And when I have grandchildren and I'm 86 years old, a little story. Here's the little story. This is what I enjoyed about my mom. As an older woman, she was able to tell me embarrassing things she didn't even share with my father. My mother and I were thick as thieves. I was so pissed, but bless my brother's heart for trying to take me out on the internet. I don't want to dwell on that. Bless his heart. I'm not from the South, Claudia, but I know that means bless his heart.
We know what that means. That's a Southern FU, Wendy.
He tried it. And yes, Kelvin was the hero that day. You're not going to fist fight my nephew over my mother's casket. Tap the casket and tilt it. Body almost spilled on the floor. Did not, though. They had her nicely packed. She had a little smile on her face. The color lipstick that I sent them that she wanted to wear. Her nails were painted and they were crossed on her. And she had on this leopard dress it was her benchmark dress. You know, if I just lose this last pound, it'll be able to fit. It had no stretch in it. You know what I mean? But it was sexy. It was a negligee with spaghetti straps. And it was from Neiman Marcus. And she got it on discount. My mother was good for hunting a discount.
I want to hear.
I talked to my dad and I told my dad, this is what mommy wanted to wear. And so he said, no, Wendy. And I said, Daddy, please trust me. Look in my eyes. Mommy wanted a pink, you know, a baby pink inside her casket in silk. She wanted a beautiful, coffin on the outside. She was specific. She wanted brass finishings, or were they silver? I forget, because when the fight broke out, I was like, oh no. So I called my dad respectfully, and we had a one-on-one. I said, Daddy, do you mind if I ask Kelvin to come to mommy's private service? It was a private service with only our family. We have under 20 people that equal the Williams, Hunter, Finney family. And my nephew was there with his fiance and their new baby, Bella. Bella is in my nephew's fiance's arms, and my brother, next thing I hear, the N word, the F word. My nephew then calls his uncle the B word. My mom is laying there in the casket. And I went to the back. I went to the last pew where my son was sitting. This was his first death in the family. And he did not want to look at his grandmother. He wanted to be there, and he looked very respectful. and I didn't pressure him in what to wear. You know, he had on slacks. He had a beautiful sweater on Cosby style, but he did have on a pair of Air Force Ones because he knew that his Nana liked Air Force Ones and owned a pair too. That's right. And when they started fighting and this started going on, nobody at the service knew what to do. The funeral parlor was not expecting the family of Wendy Williams, because ultimately speaking, even though it's Shirley laying there, it's Wendy Williams. And I was so concerned with how my son was that I ran to the back pew and I held him tight. I said, you can look if you want, you can go up there if you want, or I can be, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do right now? As I was glancing at my father to be sure that the security and the funeral we're Baptist, okay? So the service was in the hood at a beautiful church. The music was lovely. It was really lovely. The flower arrangements and all that stuff. But they comforted my father. Kelvin came to me and he said, look, your mom wouldn't want to see this. And I said, I know, Kevin. And I, a little tear, they welled up but didn't escape. I got misty. Kevin's studying for his finals in college. His grandmother would have wanted it that way, do well in school, and I'm paying for it, but he comes and goes, what do you want me to do, Wendy? Because, and they're bitch and, nigga and fighting. And my sister is stunned. My brother-in-law we're stunned. Like, what do you do? And
who does this?
We got to break this up before somebody calls the police, the paparazzi, or something.
I gotta cut you off real quick for our last break, and then I want to hear the rest of it when we come back. Right here.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that, girl. I'm like right in the middle of this. I don't want to cut you off.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Wendy. To Out Loud, Wendy Williams, you were in the middle, towards the end of your story about the funeral and the fights.
It's really something the way it was produced for Lifetime. It's very, very dramatic, but that day was very real. This
the funeral, the fight.
On Lifetime, but you hear me on Hot Topics talking about it because my brother, what do you call him? My brother. Was trying to defame me and make me into somebody that I'm not, and that's something that he does not have the power to do.
Was he trying to do a YouTube show off of the clout? Was it about a YouTube show for him?
You know what? It's about get your life together. Go home to your wife and figure out what you do in life. And I'm not going to talk bad about him because I've got the power, and I know that there's much I can say, but I won't, because poor thing, he can use a couch and a box of tissues. And a good therapist as well. Anyway, I told Kelvin, go ahead, go and break up that fight, take it out to the lobby, please. And he said, before he went to my mother, he went to my father, Mr. Williams, are you okay? You good? I saw it from afar because I was in the back with my son preparing for finals. And I could still hear them screaming as Kelvin pushed them because they wouldn't dare punch Kelvin. And Kelvin wasn't even, he smelled good, he looked good, Claudia, and he was sophisticated. If he could just be like that all the time. And it wasn't the first time me seeing Kelvin like that. It's that 2 seconds later, given the right circumstance, he'd be breaking stuff and screaming at people. But that day, he truly was a hero. He saved my mother's service, her friends. Now the service was open to her friends, regular friends, not just family. And so they were coming in and they knew nothing. And Kelvin ushered the fight into the lobby, asked my brother to lower his tone, asked my nephew to calm down. My nephew's only 25 years old. My brother is 53. What is a 53-year-old uncle? The only uncle that he has, other than his Uncle Kevin, Travis's Uncle Kevin, but blood uncle. Why are you fighting? And
I hope
so. I said on Hot Topics because that's the kind of girl I am. And the documentary and the movie I'm very, very proud of. I'm not ashamed of staying with Kelvin for 20 years because it took 20 years to plot and have him regret the day that he met me. And I'm sure that he does. Poor thing. Because if he never met me, and he'll never meet a girl like me who would desire him.
Have you met the baby?
Who? Journey?
Kelvin's baby.
Yeah, Journey. That's her name. That's a pretty name, right? No, he's got one job. Keep her off the pole, and hopefully she'll be more educated than her mother and father.
Well, on that note.
And as far as my son, my son has met her, and he's told me some things which I would rather not repeat. Okay. Because I stop him. I'm saying, okay, I don't want to know all that. I don't need to know. Really? Exactly. I lift my glasses like, what?
Well, now I want to know. Are we talking dirty? Are we talking dirty diapers?
Kevin is a serial cheat. If he could cheat on the love of his life, and I was just like he was, I will never love the way I love Kevin again, because I'm smarter than that, and I don't need that kind of love. You know, I don't need a man around me all the time, but I do need the comfort of a man in my life. I'm not one of those hip shaking sisters who says, I don't need no man. Oh, yes, I do.
Well, I saw you.
And I would rather have his company than yours.
I saw you talking on your show about, you know, you're open for dating and the whole dating and looking for a man.
I had a date last night. Didn't go well. I had a date from my app. I registered to be on an app. I'm not going to say the name because New Life is not about talking about my love life specifically on the show. You'll never know their name. You'll never know where we went to eat unless, you know, if he takes me to, you know, the Bahamas for the weekend, I'll say, oh, we went to the Bahamas for the weekend. We ate at this fish place. You know, I remember the name and what we did and stuff. And it was really nice. He's hanging in there. He's still, you know, I date, but he might be the one. And I can't wait to have one boyfriend. I can't wait to have one boyfriend. And I am open to marrying again. And I would have a very short prenuptial agreement that could probably be written by my cats. It's so stupid. What's yours is yours and what's mine is mine.
Wendy, what's your type? What's your type? Do you have a type?
Yeah, he's got to be 45 is not too young for me as long as you've already been married and divorced and I don't have to deal with her. I don't want to be a stepmother. I want to be the woman that my dad is dating. Her name is Wendy. I don't want you living with your kids. I don't want them to be so young that they're living in a house and I have to wait to come over because your kids are there. The weekend visits, I can navigate that because while you're busy with your kids this weekend, I'm busy with the next man that weekend. Because you might not be my boyfriend. You might be one of the guys that I'm dating. Doesn't mean that I'm having sex with everybody, but at the very least, I am having sex with who I desire. Well,
I cannot wait to see.
He also can't be older than 65 unless he's really young at heart, you know, and he's not real sick. You know, I have my issues, thyroid disease, lymphedema, Graves' disease. I passed out on TV, I know. But I've got concierge doctors, a team of them that take very good care of me. And I mean, very good care of me. And, you know, I need him to be in pretty good shape. And marriage isn't for everybody. I say I'd like to get married, but that's only because the laws aren't made now where somebody can act as the boss of you if you're passed out in the hospital bed and it's time to pull the cord.
Right.
You know, I don't want to be on an incubator for but so long before I want you to pull the cord. You know, like pull the cord. Who's going to be able to say that? Wendy. And I don't want it to be, you know, what? Oh, I mean, huh? Right now, that person is Bernie Young, my manager. And you know, it is a sad day when a hot girl, a successful girl like me has her manager, the one to say, pull the cord.
Listen, I'm sure you get a lot of crazy stuff in your DMs, and every now and then I'm sure there's someone of quality in there. So I don't think it's going to be that long. You put it out there, and when you put that energy out there, come on back to you. Listen,
you have to.
Later in my life too, so.
We're starting the dating game on our show, so I will be dating on the show as well. And I also believe in walking down the street and making eye contact with guys and seeing who makes eye contact back. Not everybody is the killer, although the killer does exist.
Well, I could talk to you about this for a while, but I definitely want to show some love to the movie. We want to show a clip. We had Sierra Payton here, and she did. I think she did an awesome job. We have a clip of the Wendy Williams movie. Let's check it out.
Wendy Williams is not going anywhere. I'm going to come in like a hurricane. So, Whitney, are you still using drugs?
He wants to give you a talk show.
Millions millions of people turn on the radio to listen to me.
You're the star.
I am going to tell it like it is. I'm becoming a real business. And I've been trusting you to take care of all of that.
You're self-indulgent. You're narcissistic. You got a coke habit.
It's so good. It looks, man.
I'm watching.
Yeah.
I can't believe that's me.
Really?
Yeah, really.
It's so good. I mean, I was watching it before the interview, and I can't wait to finish it up. And I highly recommend everybody checks it out. January 30th.